I think it's really dangerous to try to answer such important questions that have confounded so many people for hundreds of years, to ask me to give you my solutions as if I had any in 30 seconds. So if you want to be specific about a question, I'll be more than happy to answer it, because I think, race is the elephant in the room in our country. And the social situation that we've all experienced is absolutely disgusting in a lot of ways. And what's really interesting is the people that jump right away to say, one is attacking the police, or the people that jump on the other side. It's a question where understanding and empathy has to trump, no pun intended, has to trump any quick reactions of an ideological or demagogical nature. So it's a topic that can't just be swung at. People have to be very accurate and direct in what they say and do.
Let me ask one specific question. About a year ago about this time, you brought in Dr. John Carlos to speak to your players about the importance of taking the principal stand.
Right.
Can we conjecture that you support those athletes who are now taking stands, football players and the NBA players and so forth?
I absolutely understand why they're doing what they're doing, and I respect their courage for what they've done. The question is whether it'll do any good or not, because it seems that change really seems to happen through political pressure. No matter how you look at it, whether it's Dr. King getting large groups of people together and boycotting buses, and or what's happened in Carolina with the NBA and other organizations pulling events to make it known what's going on. But I think the important thing what Kaepernick and others have done is to keep it in the conversation. When's the last time you heard the name Michael Brown? With our 24/7 news, things seem to drift. We're all trying to just exist and survive, and it's easier for the mass, for the mass of more white people, because we haven't lived that experience. It's difficult for many white people to understand the day-to-day feeling that many black people have to deal with. It's not just a rogue policeman, or a policeman exerting too much force or power, when we know that most of the police are trying to do their job, which is very difficult. I'd be scared to death if I was a policeman. I stopped a car. You just don't know what's going to happen. And part of that in our country is exacerbated by the preponderance of guns that other countries don't have to deal with. So it gets very complicated. And at this point, when somebody like Kaepernick brings attention to this, and others who have, it makes people face the issue, because it's too easy for people to let it go because it's not their daily experience. And if it's not your daily experience, you don't understand it. I didn't talk to my kids about how to act in front of the policeman when he gets stopped. I didn't have to do that. But all of my black friends have done that. There's something that's wrong about that. And we all know that. What's the solution? Nobody's figured it out. But for sure, the conversation has to stay fresh. It has to be continuous. It has to be persistent. And we all have a responsibility to make sure that that happens in our communities.
Any of your players would like to protest? Do you plan on talking to them about it or supporting them at all?
My players are engaged citizens who are fully capable of understanding, what their values are, what they think is appropriate and inappropriate, what they feel strongly about, and their whatever actions may or may not be taken are their decisions. And I'm not going to tell anyone ahead of time that if they don't do A, B, and C, they're going to be gone or traded. I think that's ignorant.
Do you agree or disagree with that method of protesting convention?
I think to each his own. I think it depends on a person's life experience and what they value and how strongly they feel about it. I don't think instant condemnation of any sort of act should happen until it's thought out. For instance, with Kaepernick, a pretty good group of people immediately thought he was disrespecting the military. That had nothing to do with his protest. In fact, he was able to do what he did because of what the military does for us. But most thinking people understand that, but there's always going to be an element that wants to jump on a bandwagon, and that's what's unfortunate about our country. It's gotten to the point where the civility and the level of discourse is basically in the gutter. I saw a wonderful clip on the news the other day with a split screen with Al Gore and George Bush when they were debating, and President Bush was saying something, and the split screen showed Al Gore sigh and shake his head, and the commentator at the time said, "Oh, that rudeness, that's rude. That rudeness isn't going to fly." Compare that to now. It's scary.